in Nigeria, domestic tourism in Nigeria, people traveling within Nigeria was not even a thing. You can't even tell somebody will tell you Boko Haram. You can't even tell somebody to travel to Nigeria. Nigerians are not even patriotic. They don't even love Nigeria enough to want to experience Nigeria. And for me, I feel like that's the genesis of the error. We see tourism as leisure and just play. We don't know that tourism is an economic tool. That's how myopic a lot of people look at it.
A wise man once said that you are only one decision away from living the life that you've always envisioned. Hi there. Welcome once again to the Just and podcast, where we bring you stories, insights, and conversations around business and enterprise from the city of Jos. And I'm your host, Timothy Kunat, and it's exciting to be here once again with you. You might be listening to me or watching me from the comfort of your rooms, your offices, or wherever. Or maybe even having a watch party with some of your friends or family members. Whatever you're doing right now, watching and tuning to this podcast is the best decision that you're making right now. And so I want you to do 4 things for me while you're watching me. Subscribe if you haven't, because every subscriber counts and we need this to get as far as possible. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Like I always say, share it to your friends, families, enemies, everybody who is in your life. Right. And don't forget to leave a comment. If there's anything that strikes you or you have any questions or just, want to tell us where you're watching from, because we would like to know where you're watching from. Right. Leave it in the comment section and we'll be excited to engage with you. All right. Today, I have somebody very interesting, very important in the conversations of tourism here in Plateau State and actually in northern Nigeria. And you can't talk tourism without this guy because of the amount of work, the amount of innovation and intentionality he has put into it. And it's exciting to have the one person who is known as Freezle, aka, because I will use the aka now is his real name, Ephraim Bulus.
Oh, yeah.
Freezle, it's good to have you here on the show today.
My pleasure. You said it correctly. Freezle, aka Ephraim. I tell you.
Because everybody knows you as Freezle. I mean, if you go out and then you to certain places, I define Ephraim. Who be that?
You won't find me. You'll be lost. Truly, you'll be lost.
It's exciting to have you on the show today.
I'm so happy to be
and
here.
We're talking tourism, which is like the lifeblood of your life. Everybody who knows you knows that. It's like they tied Freezle with what's it called, tourism.
I mean, it's like it's embedded in my DNA.
Yeah. Awesome. We live in a very important city, in a state that is known as the home of peace and tourism. And like I said before, in the tourism conversations, you can't really have a proper tourism conversation here without mentioning you. You've been very pivotal to a number of things, especially but not only limited to, but the millennials and the Gen Z generation, right? Getting people to want to see Plateau State, but not just Plateau State, other parts of northern Nigeria, right? Through Explore Nigeria,
yes,
which is your company. He's the CEO of Explore Nigeria. I should have mentioned that actually. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about what you're doing with Explore Nigeria, and then we would get into some of the storytelling aspects.
All right. So simple. Explore Nigeria was a vision that was founded out of a shared interest of promoting Nigerians' domestic and indigenous culture, heritage, and tourism. And this is because going through this journey, I've realized that some of the most pertinent issues that we face in Nigeria that has to do with our identity, has to do with religious sentiments, has to do with economic opportunities. Tourism has provided that medium that can provide an alternative for Nigeria to diversify its economy and to empower our youthful population. So for me, I feel tourism should be positioned as a strategic development plan for Nigeria as a whole. And so that was the motivation for me to start Explore Nigeria, not just to share experiences, but to position tourism as an integral part of social economic development in Nigeria.
Awesome. You were sharing with me some time ago about your journey into tourism. I'd like you to talk about that here, because I think that it's a very compelling story, how you started, because we're literally talking about Just Start.
Oh, yes.
Right. And the idea behind Just Start is like I said, sharing conversations around business, around enterprise, people who have taken certain steps, with people who have taken certain steps, and are creating an industry or a niche that is meeting certain needs.
Yeah.
And you've done that. I mean, we have to give you your flowers, right? So I want you to give us some of the very interesting stories and the background behind getting into tourism.
Okay, so I would like to start from my childhood memory.
Okay.
I know we've not had that conversation from that point, but I would like to take it from the most foundational place where it started. For me, I came from a family of 4. We had 3 boys and a girl, so our house was like a boys' hostel, and our mom was literally the only female because we didn't grow up with our sister, which was the first, so she grew up with our uncle. So we were literally all boys in the house. And one of the things that I learned quickly from my mom is that she was naturally a hospitable person. She loves accommodating people in our home, and we saw her do that firsthand. And it was almost effortless. She does all of these things. I remember time in my area where I grew up. In the whole of the community, our house was like the meeting point for guys. So if every guy, because we were already 3 boys and we play football, which was the normal play that every young guy would do, and we have other 15 or 20 boys that always comes to our house every day.
Your house was truly
always a boys' hostel. So what my mom always does, when these boys come, she always cooks. So because she always cooks for this number of boys,
they will be coming
every day. So it's like almost impossible to have less than 10 people that are not from our house that are coming to our house every day. And all of these people are always well fed. I don't know how my mother did it, but I literally saw how one bag of rice does not last a month in our house. And yes, my mother keeps doing it, and people find excitement coming to our home. So we grew up into loving to host and accommodate people. And I feel that's like the first thing I learned from my mom. I didn't know that it would be useful for me going forward, but it was easy for us to host people, to cook food and invite people to come to our house and eat, and all of that. Now, growing up, football, as I said, was like the only thing I knew I could do. So at some point, as my early stages, when my teenage ages into my early 20s, football was like the practical thing I was doing. I've played Governor's Cup for Plateau State. I've played. So my first traveling began as traveling for football. So I played football most part of my teenage age and my 20s until I was operated for appendix, and I was told to stay away from football for a significant time, some months, close to a year. And that period was almost like my life was on a hold because I didn't find interest in doing any other thing. And because I couldn't go to play football, the best I could do is to go to watch. And so within that's 1 year of my life, I feel that's like the most transforming part of my life. I had to start exploring other interests because I couldn't just imagine just staying and not doing anything. And then I was thinking of what I could do with my life. And then I had a conversation with my other brother, which is one of my closest friends. And I told him, I have an idea of trying to move people from one place to another. At the time, I didn't know that there's anything that is called tourism or tourism business. So at the time, my only interest was, I feel like I can organize something that can move people from one place to another. And my purpose at that time was to see how I can help people to network and build relationships or networks with people across different states in Nigeria. But I was talking to my brother to help me expand it in the scope of how I can structure it and how I can deliver it. And I didn't know that anything like tourism exists. So while we're having that conversation, he told me I should give him some days and blah, blah, blah. Going forward, he said he discovered that there's something called tour guiding or tour operations. I should go and read some more about it. Now, before then, one of the things that I was naturally doing, which was normal to me, was having the flair for adventure. Adventure is just a normal thing for me. I remember times where we can just wake up with my friends and we'll hit the road to Bauchi to just go and buy kilishi and masa, and we'll come back to just that same day. So we do those things effortlessly because we find excitement in doing them. Sometimes we can just go to HBC Resort from Jos just to go and swim, So it was easy for us to just do all of those things because I was an adventurous person. I was someone that never wanted a dull moment. I wanted excitement, and I really wanted to engage that inner part of me that wanted that. So it was easy for me to do that. And then people started delegating responsibilities for me to plan picnics, to plan small events, small parties, and it was easy for me to put these things together. But I never knew that I could create a business out of it. I was just doing it for fun. And everybody, even if they say, oh, let's plan something, they'll say, give it to Freezle. So, and the responsibility kept coming, and I decided to plan my first trip to Yankari Game Reserve in 2019, which was the beginning of Explore Niger. And I curated that trip. I think that package was 18,500 naira. I won't forget.
Wow.
And I curated that trip. My goal was to attract people from Jos, people from my friends, like, we just want to go and let's travel to Yankari. And when I put out a flyer and I said, oh, I have a trip to Yankari, 18,500 naira, I was shocked that I got over 18 bookings. And in that 18 bookings, I had people that booked from Lagos, I had people that booked from Port Harcourt, I had people that booked from Abuja, I had people that booked from Kaduna, and then from Jos. So the next big question was, how do I manage this logistics? Somebody is coming from Lagos. How do I, ensure that, I'm able to welcome the person, I'm able to put all of the contingencies, arrangements that are necessary to delivering that, because I was not planning that I was hosting somebody from anywhere.
No.
I was only planning for people that
were already in Jos.
let's meet at Old Airport.
Then we'll just start going together.
But somebody's coming from Lagos. I had to start making prior arrangements. Okay, you have to come a day before. You have to book a hotel to stay at least a night before the trip because we are leaving first thing in the morning. So that challenged me and made me to start exploring things that I never imagined. To cut the long story short, I executed the trip, but with so much losses. But I was excited that I was able to pull the trip and people had fun. That same week, one lady that came from Lagos met a friend, which is a female photographer, on that trip, and they became very close. And because of the bond they built on that trip, she flew that same lady from Jos to Lagos the week after for her birthday in Lagos.
Wow.
And that relationship was formed till date. So for me, the results I was looking for, to seeing people building meaningful relationships and network,
it was met.
It was met. So for me, I was successful.
Even though it was a success, even though the money did not. How do you deal with the losses, though?
Man, those are unforeseen losses, truly. And these are some of the things that I look forward to sharing in a very intimate space with people that have desire to start out a business in tourism or tour operations. Because there are certain things that if you are not aware of, you won't know how to plan your logistics properly. You won't know how to maximize your losses or maximize your risks, and also see how you are able to bid or negotiate better. So I had poor negotiation skills at that time, which affected me. I didn't know that I could plan for some form of logistics or contingency arrangements that I just passed by, which became a problem, and just things like that. So, and I think that these things come with you gaining experience over the years, and then you are able to navigate and find better ways to manage such situations. But I would say that my first 1-2 years, I made significant losses in curating experiences, but my motivation was driven by the passion to see that people are actually coming and people are actually networking, people are building solid relationships, and I as a person is gaining value as a person, because the value is not just in monetary, it's in social capacity. People begin to trust me for other things because they believe that for me to be able to organize something like this, then I should have the capacity to do this and to do that. So that in itself provided other forms of opportunities for me. So before the money started coming, I made a lot of mistakes, curating this. But I mean, just like I said, I was not relenting because I felt that some part of my desire was somehow met. So that was a compensation for me to keep going.
Awesome. So there's something that you mentioned that I want us to look into a little bit. How did you take this that was a passion and a curiosity project?
Yep.
How did you convert it into a proper business? Because you've been running this since 2019, I mean
Yes,
2018.
2019.
2019,
Yes.
which is like 6
6
years,
years, yes.
thereabouts.
Yes.
How did you move from this place of passion and curiosity and excitement to having one of the leading businesses
Yes.
focused on tourism and tour guiding
Yes.
in northern Nigeria?
Okay, so one of the things that I would say is that I appreciated the mistakes I made early, and I feel like that's the foundational place to begin. Because that passion and that curiosity was there, I was privileged to make those mistakes early, and because I made those mistakes, I was able to identify those mistakes and then try to correct them on the next trip. So one of the things that I did intentionally at my early stage, I took note of all of the mistakes I was making. If I made a loss, I need to know why I made the loss. If someone had a bad experience, I need to know and how to mitigate it. So after every trip, I documented the excitement of the trip, what stood out for people. I interviewed people on the trip. Okay, so what do you like the most on this trip, and what would you want us to do better? I always got that feedback for at least for the first 3 years of my business, and I just didn't do it for content's sake, right? I did it because I really wanted to get feedback and I really wanted to improve, right? So I got those feedback. I created questionnaires. I forwarded structured questionnaires. I forwarded to the travelers, participants to give me feedback, and I encouraged them to give me that feedback because I needed it, and they did. So what I did was, the first thing is I identified some of the errors and the mistakes I was making. I created a system to gather those information, and then when I came back, I see how I can identify how to mitigate those problems on the next trip. So that's the first thing I did, and then secondly, I leveraged social media. I started exploring other people that were doing similar things with what I was doing. I remember that time, some of the first tour companies that I was watching closely was Social Prefect Tours. I was watching Experience Tour. I was looking at, there's some other tour companies around Africa too that were doing some exciting things. So I was glued on their page. I was seeing how they were curating their packages, how they were dishing their offerings and all of that. So I started following those platforms, seeing what they were doing, and then I took a step further to start reaching out to them, and then to see how I could leverage their knowledge to apply to what I was doing. So I remember some of them, I sent them messages, they did not respond. I don't want to mention this, but I sent some people messages, they did not respond to me. I said, I just wanted to, ask a few questions on this and that.
Yeah.
They left the message in the DM. I can tell you, there's someone I sent a message that did not respond from 2019. But when I received an award in Lagos, I met the person, and the person was all over me. And he just told me that, whatever you're doing, right, even if they don't grant you audience now, just keep at it. Just work on yourself. When you begin to get the results, it's easy for people to want to come back.
Yeah.
And then when I went back to my DM after that Lagos trip, the person was like, let's follow ourselves. But I said, I've been following you. And that was the first time the person followed me. And the person went to their DM and saw
your message.
I said, sorry, this message has been here. I didn't know, but I'll respond to you on other things. We can talk some more. And, but that's like 5 years after that message was dropped. So those are the intentional things I knew I did. I reached out to people. I seeked knowledge. And because at the time, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have platforms, or I didn't know of any institution that does tourism that I can just go and enroll and learn. I was willing to even pay to learn because I had interest in it. But I later discovered Night Tour. That was in like 2012, 23-ish. And then I had opportunity to meet other industry players that provided me other opportunities of learning. I met other people that were passionate within my space. I was intentional about networking with people that were already in the space. And we're exchanging knowledge. We had platforms and forums where we could exchange ideas. And that phase was me gathering knowledge around what I wanted to do. But some of the fundamental things that I did, I registered my company late 2019. Even from the onset, I knew that I wanted to make this a business. As much as I didn't know how I could go about it or how I could scale it, I first of all registered my business with Corporate Affairs Commission. And I made my business a registered business. And then I started gleaning knowledge. So for the first 3 years of my life, I will tell you for a fact, I was doing trial and error. I was networking. I was building networks with people that are industry players. I was learning. I was doing personal studies for the first 3 years. I was reading a lot about tourism. I mean, I read so much about tourism. For courses that I could enroll for, I enrolled for them. So that way it empowered me with the right knowledge I needed. So from 2021, I would say that was when my business became a full-blown business. And that was when I understood how to structure things better. I already got my grip on how to create my tours, how to sell my tours. I remember times where I used to send BCs to people to sell my tours. But I got to a point I stopped sending BCs because I felt I didn't need them. I had other channels to sell my tours. So people started asking me, we don't see your post again. Are you still doing this? I said, no. I've passed that level. I don't do BCs anymore because I've built that understanding on how I can sell my tours and how I can plug into communities and networks that can help me to sell the kind of experience that I want to deliver. So it was just a process of learning. It was a process of failing and acknowledging those failures and making corrections of them and intentional networking. Networking has helped me so much, especially in knowledge sharing. And you will never know it all. And there are lots of people within this industry I've learned so much in how they deliver certain experiences. And that's relationships has also sparked new forms of collaborations for us right now. And most of us now are doing so well. Most of us that started from 2018, 2019, a lot of them, all of us are almost doing so well. And now, because relationship is formed, I can access these people, I can collaborate with them, we can partner, we can do things together. And that has also given my business value.
Awesome. Starting up a business in tourism, at the time when you were doing it, must have had certain kinds of challenges. And I want you to talk about those challenges. But before you talk about those challenges, I want you to talk about, I think one major challenge I might be preempting you, but you still talk about the challenges. How were you able to convince people that this thing that I want to do is worth doing? That I went through school. You probably didn't study anything tourism related in school now. What did you study?
Okay, so that's a conversation for another day. I can assure you. Because when I open that chapter, it will take us to another place. So let's leave it for another time.
Okay. So you didn't have a background in tourism and hospitality.
At all.
Then you arrived at this place where you felt like this is what I want to do. How did you first convince maybe your family members, people around you that might have started feeling like it's like this boy wants to waste his life? How did you go around that? And then you can link it to other challenges that you faced.
I'll be honest with you, right? It was never an easy road. I will tell you, in Nigeria, 2019, domestic tourism particularly was never a big deal. People were traveling internationally. People were going to Dubai, people were going to Zanzibar, people were going to a lot of places. But domestic tourism in Nigeria, people traveling within Nigeria was not even a thing. You can't even tell somebody will tell you Boko Haram. You can't even tell somebody to travel to Nigeria. Nigerians are not even patriotic. They don't even love Nigeria enough to want to experience Nigeria, right? So it was a big challenge. Now, for me that just ventured into that space of something that looks like just leisure and play. Because for me, I feel like that is how even people around perceive tourism. Even till date, I will tell you, And that, for me, I feel like that's the genesis of the error. We see tourism as leisure and just play, as just fun, right? We don't know that tourism is an economic tool. So we look at it with the eye of, it's not just to travel and go and swim and go and
just do
yawo and come back. So what is the benefit of that one? You know, that's how myopic a lot of people look at it. So it's difficult for you to say that you are trying to carve a career path in this. I remember somebody asked me in 2020, a very respected person that I was doing some work with, and he asked me a question. He said, he saw that I'm really passionate about tourism, and he has been seeing my posts on Facebook, but he just wants me, he's curious and he's worried and concerned about me. He does not seem to look at me trying to want to do any other thing, and I want to just do this. Do I think that this thing I'm doing, beyond now, it can take care of me and take care of my family, if I have one? Do I think that this thing has the capacity? I remember the only thing I told him, I said, I believe it so much to work to take care of me and to take care of the potential family I will have. That's all I told him. And at the time, I will tell you, I made that statement out of just shared belief. I had a strong conviction that what I was doing was going to work. But regardless, I made a statement to myself when I started tourism. I said, as much as I love this, there's high possibility that I might not be able to build a career with this. However, I'm going to invest 5 years of my life to do this same thing, and I'm not going to do anything else. And if it fails after 5 years, I take it as my loss, and I'm going to find something else to do. But if it does not fail, then I have proved a point that it's possible, and I've done it. And 5 years down the line, I don't need to tell anybody that it's possible. It's because this is the only thing I do, and probably the only thing I will keep doing, probably in different skills for the next 10 years of my life. And I will still say again, maybe on this podcast, I'm going to do tourism till I'm 40. And maybe then I will retire and do other things, right? But I still have like 9 years in this industry. And I'll keep adding and creating value in this sector. And so I will say that it's not an easy challenge. First, we need to know whatever it is that we want to do, we need to believe that it will work. And I believe that for me, that's the foundational thing. You cannot be doubting what you want to do and expect it to work. I believe that you have to first believe, even if you don't know how you're going to go about it, believe it will work. And take the right steps and get all the knowledge that you need. Even if you don't have the opportunity and luxury to afford even schooling, in quotes, like going to probably university to study it on the world, explore available resources. Thank God for YouTube. Thank God for technology. There are lots of platforms that provide knowledge to almost everything. You can leverage them to glean first-hand knowledge, and then you can begin to explore other opportunities of learning. But first, you have to invest in yourself and learn all you can. For me, I feel those are some of the things, because if people begin to trust that you know what you're doing or you know what you're saying, they might be doubting the possibility in terms of gauging that with your income, right? At the early stage, you will struggle with that because they will say, show for it now. Me, I go to work, I come back in the evening, I have salary, see my salary. What can you show? But at that early stage, for me, that is your formative years. Invest in knowledge. Clean the knowledge. You might not have the money to show as a proof of work, but invest in your knowledge, invest in the capacity of what you want to do. First, believe it. Second, invest. And then third, begin to explore how to put it out there. And for me, I believe that one of the things that made people believe that this is a worthy experience, the only media I had was social media. So anytime I go for a trip and I come back, I post my experiences. I share my experience. I use Facebook, I use Instagram, I use Twitter. Those are 3 platforms I know I use. I post pictures, I post videos, and I write. I write because I know that at least I'm good with writing. So I write about my experience. And then I began to see that a lot of people were excited about my own experience. And they were like, please tell us when the next one is happening. Tell us when the next one. So I used my experience to spark curiosity and excitement in the minds of people to want to say, this thing that this guy is always going, me, I want to go. Right? So posting those experiences, at least for the first 3 years, was just creating excitement in the hearts of people. You were saying, oh, this guy is living his... I remember when I was still struggling, I met one guy that I know that he's a solid guy. He has all it takes. He's financially able. And he met me in 2021 and said, I'm living my best life.
Hi.
I didn't understand what he meant. He's an architect. He's doing so well. And he told me I'm living my best life. And I'm wondering, this best life, where sometimes Sapa won't kill me. But I didn't know what he meant till probably few years, like maybe last year or now, that I had the freedom to, to explore the world beyond what my normal routine confines me to. He wish he could have that freedom to do that, but he has a job that probably does not allow him, right? But he feels like I'm doing what I love and I'm still getting paid for it. So for the fact that I can have that freedom to do what I love and be paid for it, my life is more enriching than his.
Yeah.
Right. So, but at that time, I was probably looking at him as, you're not senior man. But it's now that I understand the quality of my life, the quality of relationships, the quality of a well and experienced life. There's just so much to immerse yourself with experience of travel, and these experiences live with you a lifetime. And I don't know how best I can say it on this platform, but I would say that the challenges of growth is there, but you have to be resilient. You have to be passionate about it. You have to believe it. Beyond being passionate, you have to believe that it's going to work. And you have to put in the right efforts. You have to see how you are able to learn everything you need. You need to share your own experience. People won't really want to see, right? They might not care at first, but when you consistently share your experience, it might begin to excite 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 people. And that's truly what happened to me. It was the experience that I was sharing that made more people felt like they wanted this experience. And those people became my potential clients. And then I was creating experiences for them as well.
Wow.
And they, in turn, are bringing more people and bringing more people. Yeah, and that kept me in business. So
Awesome.
I think that's basically it.
So you've said the first thing is to believe. Believe in what you're doing. You can't doubt what you're doing and expect other people to believe in it.
No.
Right. The next thing you said is invest in knowledge. And you see, investing in knowledge is so critical because a lot of times people want to, while it is important to start where you are, you shouldn't stay where you are.
Very well.
Right. You must always keep asking myself, what's the new development in this industry? What's the new innovation? What's happening next?
Yes.
So building yourself, investing in knowledge is critical because it that also defines how long or how relevant you
can
are
remain,
in that industry. And then they also said explore opportunities, right? Various opportunities, especially like you talked about using social media as a platform to share your stories. And then we found out that people were living through your stories and anticipating every new story that you put out there. But on the days when Sakpa, for those who are watching us from outside Nigeria, Sakpa is a grammatical term for being broke. Right? On the days when you were broke, because you probably did, because of course you don't have tourists coming in every day.
Yep.
Right. There are certain seasons of the year that are like peak periods where you're having so many people placing inquiries, and then there are certain seasons of the year when you're like, you're just hearing cricket sounds. Right. In those seasons, what did you do?
Okay, so I will talk about the seasons in 2 periods of my life. The first period is when I was starting up, what I did. And then the second period is what I'm doing now. Now, when I started, right, as I said, I can say clearly, for the first 3 years of my life, I was not making profits. I would not say I'm making profits. I would not say I had money, right? So first 3 years of doing Explore Niger, I was not saying I had money or it was paying all of my bills. And it's a great struggle because I did not have another job. And I told myself I want to take another job. Because I believe that taking another job on my own part was going to deviate me, because I would need, for example, if I was doing a full-time job somewhere, I would probably spend 8, 9, 10 hours a day working in that place. Probably if I go to work 8, I'll come back maybe 4, 5.
Yeah.
So those hours of the day, I cannot be doing Explore Niger. I have to give it to that. So how many hours do I have left to do Explore Niger? Even if I want to do on that pace, the process will be extremely slow. Maybe by now, I will not be on this level. But because I lasered my attention on this one thing and I ensured it was going to work, right? So for me, I felt like I shrinked the time and then I made it possible on this level at this time. But if I was probably juggling between two things, one will certainly suffer. That's the reality. People might say, hey, do this one and carry it. One will certainly suffer, right? And where you are being paid, you have to prioritize that one.
Yes.
So whether you like it or not, that one will take more of your time. And this one will suffer. So you might not be able to achieve it as quick as possible, right? So, but what I did was at that time, I relied much more on my family. My family was my first support. That's the truth. I had a brother that believed that this thing I was doing makes sense. At the time, he had a very decent job. Sometimes, Baba, I help me 2K, he will give me. I want to go one meeting for here, or I want to go here, give me 1K, he will give me. So family support was it for me, truly. And at the time, I had to curtail my lifestyle. So I was not doing a lot of chilling, because I can't even afford it. So I would remain, and if there's food I go eat, if the food no dey, I go don't mind my business. I know they do unnecessary waka, right? So let me say that again.
Yeah.
I don't go for unnecessary hangouts, parties and all, because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So the best thing for me, I was always indoor. So for me, I feel those are my formative periods. That time I was indoor was when I was building myself. Right? So I was indoor, I was building myself. If I needed money for anything, maybe somebody say, well, let me have a meeting with you or something. Give me 1K, I beg, give me 2K. My brother was generously doing that for me. Even my younger brother was earning more than me at the time because he had a barber shop. So he too, I can beg him, give me 500, give me. They will give me, right? I understand that some people might feel ego. Your younger brother, they give you money and all. But I really believe that this thing I'm doing will pay off. And I can tell you, right, I'm not living my best life yet.
Well, at least it's paying off.
It's paying off, and I can afford the lifestyle that I want to live without disturbing anybody.
Wow.
Right. So I would say, right, you need to believe it so much that when the pressure comes of you not having, you remind yourself that this thing will work. It's just a process.
Wow.
This thing will work. And that's all I keep telling myself. In fact, I go the extent to reassure myself that this will work by writing it on the walls of my house. I wrote it on sticky notes. I wrote it on calendars. It was right there. Every day I wake up, I see it. I remind myself that it's going to work. Because sometimes the pressure is going to be hard.
Yes.
You will feel like, let me just get this job. This thing is bringing disrespect. Even in your home, and they're trying to buy something. Is everybody bring one and bring down? You say you no get. Sometimes you feel bad, right? But I believed that it was going to work. And I knew that it was just a process. And it was not going to take so long. And I was equally trying my best to work so hard and quickly to ensure that I'm out of that place.
Yeah.
And I can say from my 4th year till now, I think I've cracked the code. And that whatever it is, I will always find a way to have income, to sustain myself and even my family now that I'm married.
Yeah.
So now, some of the things that I do, right? I always say tour guiding is like the most fundamental thing to do. Tour guiding and content creation, storytelling is like the first thing you do when you're starting off in tourism. You go to your backyard, hey, I'm in this place, blah, 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 blah. You tell the story about the place. That's the first thing. That's almost the first way to start tourism business. Share your own stories about your experiences, and or if you're able to do that, you're good with content creation, take that route. If you want to now take people on that experience and give them those experiences, which I preferred, right, go the tour guiding way. That way, you're able to be familiar with the sites, you're familiar with the stories, with the history and all of that. And then, when you begin to do that, you certainly have to transition because the tourism industry has a very, very, very wide opportunity. You can try different things. So for me right now, I don't just remain at just being a tour guide or someone that just creates tours. Some of the things that I do is I handle marketing and promotions for restaurants, for hotels. I do I also curate other kinds of experiences that can pay me off. So, sometimes you the season thing is always there,
Yeah.
but you have to keep delivering value in different things.
Yeah.
I started selling merch at some point. I sold Explore Nigeria merch at some point. I just stopped that because I feel like I don't have time to do it now. But I look forward to having a store where I can sell those collections.
Yeah.
But I was trying my best to sell different types of tourism products. So you must not remain at just selling tours. You can sell other kinds of experiences. You can build other skills that can help you to get people to pay you to consult for them to set up restaurants, to do a PR for the restaurants, to manage for hotels, go into some form of partnerships that can be able to increase that inflow of people. So you're not relying only on your network.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a time I collaborated with a hotel here in Jos for 1 year to always take their guests on tours, people that need those services. So you can go into those kinds of collaboration so that when you don't have guests, if the hotel has guests and they call
And
you,
they
hey, we
almost
have people,
always have guests.
and they will always have guests. They will call you. So imagine you have 5 hotels that you're always, curating experiences for their guests. You certainly not run out of season. So you have to also be very creative and innovative and think of how to diversify within that value chain. Don't remain at delivering one service. You can begin to explore other things. If you have money, you can invest in having your own Airbnb. So when guests are coming, they are making money. They are staying at your place. They are making money from that. If you have a car, you can use your car and start doing airport transfers. You can start taking people because these are things that are needed within that experience. People will come. They need mobility to move around. If you have a car, use your car. They will pay you for your car, pay you for your tour fee, pay you for other experience. If you have accommodation, they stay in your place. If you have a small cafe or a small restaurant, they will eat in your place. So you have to see how you diversify across that value chain so that you stay relevant and then your streams of income are always coming. And even if you don't have the money to start it, collaborate with people that start. Leverage your network. I've done it with people, right? There's a point I was referring people to people's Airbnb and I make commissions. So just on referral, because guests come to me and ask, where is the...
Exactly.
I will refer you. As I'm referring you, as you're going there, staying 5 nights, you are reaching there, my commission is dropping in my account. I don't even need to move, right? So those things allow your income to keep coming. So you need to also collaborate with other people. You must not own the Airbnb. Like I said, I can bring leads to you. I can bring visitors to you. So when they come, I want this percentage for every guest I bring. And that works. You can do that with hotels. You can do that with even restaurants. You can do that with, it's just to provide value. Yeah. So I think that's where I am and that's what I'm doing. I'm providing value across all the value chains of tourism, from transport to hoteling, to restaurants, to short legs, to I look forward to airlines, to cruise ships and experience. So I mean, you can just diversify in that way, and then you will certainly always have income.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm excited about is how you've touched on, because it was actually something I was going to ask you, but you've touched on the various opportunities within the value chain of tourism, so that everybody who is listening to this, everybody who's watching this and is interested in getting into the industry now has an idea of, okay, I don't have to do this. I can do this. I mean, I have a car. I can easily do airport transfers. I can do car hire services for people who are coming in, for tourists that are coming in, all of that. But one of the things I've noticed, and now we're going to talk about tourism with its uniqueness to the Jos and the Plateau State scene. And I know it's something that you're quite passionate about. All right. So I will start from here and then we'll walk up to where I want to end this. Across various businesses within the hospitality industry, there seems to not be enough understanding that the people in the tourism industry are actually their value providers.
Yes.
And you are not in competition
with them.
Because I have approached certain people, made certain propositions, and it's almost like you are trying to steal customers from them. And you don't understand. I've even had times when there was a particular restaurant I walked up to. I went into that restaurant. I looked at the place. I saw the location where the restaurant is. Fantastic location. And I entered there. I asked to see their manager, and I sat with the manager, and I reeled out everything that I felt like they should be doing for visibility. Knowing that you're not only serving clients who are living in the city. A simple Google search can bring clients to you
From outside.
People are coming from out of town.
Yep.
Always coming from out of town. They don't know where to go to.
Yep.
And you have this location. You've not done this. I sat down, did the analysis. This was last year. Would you believe that they've not done anything right now? Up until now, none of the things I suggested has been done. So how have you been able to navigate this challenge with a lot of hospitality businesses, shortlets? In fact, shortlets are even trying.
No, of course.
Shortlets are even trying because they know that they understand that man. Do you understand?
Visitors.
A lot of hotels,
restaurants.
They don't
understand it.
Restaurants.
They don't understand that.
Hotels, restaurants, a lot of and some other businesses within that hospitality industry. How have you been able to navigate that?
I think the first error is the fact that thinking you have an establishment does not necessarily mean that you're like the Lord. Everybody needs you, right? Another restaurants can come and you'll be out of business. Another hotel can come
this.
And it happens in Jos and we see it.
Yes.
Right? Jos is a city where they like new things. Any new thing comes, if you don't keep yourself relevant, they move. Right? So, but what they forget is that collaborating with people in that tourism sector, people that curate experiences for the visitors, is so paramount. And only a few, even in Nigeria, I can tell you, right, recognize that opportunity. And why I say so is because I remembered having these same conversations, right, almost about from like 2021. I've been having those conversations. I approach hotels and say, this is what I do. I always have guests coming through me. I want to offer you this. I want to propose that when my guests come, they either stay at your hotel, but I want a commission, I want this, I want that. But they tend to feel like they don't need you.
Who do you think you are? I had this experience.
You want to share our bookings
just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you want to share our bookings. Like, who do you think you are? I mean, we have a hotel. People know us. People come to us, but they don't know that they can make so much more. But beyond even the visitation, they forget that one of the things that will position your hotel to be unique is that when guests come to your hotel, is that you have a collaboration with someone or with a tour operator or someone that can curate an experience for a visitor. So it enhances the guest experience. So you are not just delivering accommodation, come and sleep in our room. You can propose
complimentary breakfast.
Yeah, complimentary breakfast. You can propose, it's an add-on. So you can collaborate with tour operators and add that to an add-on of the quality of experience that guests can have when they stay. They have opportunity to either have professional tour guides that can take them to give them this experience of the city without being afraid of the risks of, they don't know where to go to, or we don't want to go and enter the wrong hands. You have people that the hotel can validate and say, these are our partners, and they can give you that experience.
Yeah.
You have partners with people that are into transport and say, we have these vehicles, this type of vehicles of different categories that are available on ground in the hotel. You don't need to go anywhere. When you come and you want a city tour and you need a bus is right there. You need a Prado Jeep, is right there. You need a Hilux, is right there. You need a Corolla, is right there. And you collaborate with different people within that value chain. That in itself enhances your guest experience and the quality of what your hotel can deliver.
Yeah.
So if they see it as a competition or, we don't need these guys, we already have a hotel, our purpose is for people to come and sleep in our hotel. But when I sleep in your hotel, and I will certainly want to experience something different, even if I came for work, I will have free times that I probably want to go and eat in a restaurant. I might want to just go and experience nightlife, but I don't know anybody to take me. And you think it's not your responsibility as a hotel to ensure that your guest does not suffer to look for these things. Imagine you have a tourist information center at your reservation that you can have those things available. You have those contacts. You have someone that can be able to say, we have these, we have that. We can call someone that can take you. We have a car that's available. You just pay for this, you pay for it. And they will. And so if you are able to see that that in partnering with tour operators is a strategic move to enhancing your guest experience, then you approach it differently. Same thing with restaurants. When we have visitors, we have what we call an itinerary.
Yes.
And when we have an itinerary, we have different activities that they will do every single day.
Including where to eat.
And sometimes it is some of your places that we take them. But you need to recognize that we are bringing value to you. So you're not doing us a favor. We're actually doing you a favor. So sometimes they don't even recognize that we brought them. Just see 5-20 people walk into your restaurant and eat, and you'll be like, oh, today is good sales. Somebody did something somewhere that made those 20 people to came from wherever you never even know to come and eat at your restaurant.
Yeah.
Who knows about your restaurant? Right? So nobody knows about your restaurant. Probably
especially when
we don't know about, they don't even use their social media.
They don't use their social media.
So nobody
That's the
even
one
knows,
that annoys me so
nobody
much.
even knows your restaurant. You are just leveraging the effort that some of us have put in to bring these people and to give you that value. And you don't even recognize it, not even acknowledge it, left than to say even giving a commission for it. So they think they're doing you a favor. And I feel when we don't understand that these are the lines of collaboration that can enhance our visibility, can enhance our patronage, and can even enhance the quality of our guest experience, then we know that we are in business. We just don't focus on delivering that thing that we say we are delivering.
Yeah.
What other things can we add to spice up or to give that experience that visitors are coming to experience? So it has to be, we have to find lines of collaboration, not competition, or not to think that, oh, this one is more important, we are more important than you guys, and all of that. So we need to see how we collaborate so that value can be exchanged at both levels.
Yeah.
And that way we will have a thriving industry.
Very true.
Because when I see that I can do this for you and I can make something out of it, I will go the extra mile to do more. Right? So I just believe that there's a knowledge gap there. And then our hotel owners, our restaurant owners, we need to understand that this improves. I'll say last thing, right? I saw something, I think 2 years ago, Transcorp launched what we call Aura by Transcorp. Now, Aura by Transcorp is the hospitality or tourism part of their hospitality. So when you're booking to stay at a Transcorp hotel, you're just booking a hotel room to sleep. But when you book on Aura by Transcorp, you are booking a hotel experience that comes with a tour experience.
Wow.
So it comes with a tour experience that can give you an experience of the city within Abuja. So Transcorp launched that 2 years ago. I've been monitoring them to see how far they're doing. Probably they need to do so much work and probably engage other stakeholders and understand how to package that aspect of their service. I believe they will do so well. And that's one hotel that is visionary that I've seen. For them to introduce that, it means they understand the value and the intersection between tourism and hospitality.
Very true.
And understand that that is a way of delivering a quality guest experience. So for people that just want a room stay, go to Transcorp Hotel. If you want an experience that is not just, that is beyond staying in a room, then you go to Aura by Transcorp.
Yeah. So how would you define the home of peace and tourism? You know, I was going to get here. Plateau State, where we both live right now, and where we're broadcasting this podcast from. How would you define it as a tourist location? And let's touch the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Honestly, I would say that we cannot rule one part of that statement, which is the home of tourism. But peace has been a narrative that Plateau State has struggled with for over 20 years. And I will tell you before now, I made a research on what Plateau State used to be in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 70s, and in the 80s. And I've consulted and even interviewed people, the older generations that have lived within those periods, and asked them, what was Jos like? And I tell you, some of the stories I heard about what Jos is. Jos was a city like no other in the whole of Nigeria. Jos was like the capital of entertainment and tourism, not even Lagos, from what I heard. Because some of the big conferences, some of the big events that happen in Nigeria happen in Jos. And because of that interaction that Nigerians, that Plateau people or the Plateau State had with expatriate because of tin mining, which was one of Nigeria's first foreign export. So you know that at that early point, we were able to interact with expatriates. So our exposure as a people was already there. We had opportunity to have significant infrastructural development, rail lines and all of that, because they were also trying to export these things. So we had one of the independent power station, Nesco, in northern Nigeria. So these things came to us early.
Jos was actually the second city in Nigeria to have electricity.
So it just was an urban city, like we're a full-blown city, like we're living well, right? So we're not sometimes I interact with people, from people from the south or west that come to Jos. They'll be like, Jos, people have lights. I said, look at this one. Where do you people have lights in Lagos State? Do you get? So, but it's because people don't know, right? We had electricity that could power Plateau State and probably 2 or 3 other states. Till now, we still use it till now. Nesco still works till now. There's a part of Jos in Jos South, they use Nesco, right? So it tells you that Jos, first of all, was an urban city, and we had opportunities to interact. The first golf club in Nigeria is in Jos. The first club, like social club, Plateau club, in Jos.
Yeah.
So you could
the
see
first club in Nigeria.
So you could see the level of interaction that we were on, right? We're already we're already there. So don't look at Jos as a local place. Now, in 2001, which we experienced our biggest crisis situation, right? That was when the narrative shifted.
Yeah.
And then it started as a religious sentiment. You know, people were thinking, it's a religious thing. I don't want to go into those details. On whether it's religious, whether it's political, or whether it's
a mix of everything.
A mix of everything, right? But I knew that something happened in 2001 that made Jos to be first divided, right? And the lines of religion. And then people use, or politicians, I will say, use those cracks to reinforce their ambitions, right? In the lines of politics to still divide us. So we've been dwindling in that narrative to struggle to say, are we facing a political problem? Are we facing a religious problem? And we've been there. And it's sad that a lot of people do not realize or recognize what's playing. And that in itself has shadowed who we are as the home of peace and tourism. People forgot. So people that were given birth to in 2000 do not know anything apart from crisis. That's the truth. If they give birth to you in 2000 and you experience 2001 crisis, till now you don't know that there was a time in Jos that Jos had the first social club in Nigeria. They had this and had that. So you won't know except you go back and research, right? So for me, I would say that Jos is an integral city in Nigeria and it has to redeem its glory. I'm glad that the leadership we're experiencing right now in Plateau State is beginning to bring to focus and to bear what Jos should be and how Jos should regain its glory. And we can see how that is happening even from the Christmas festival that happened in Jos last year and the tons of events that has been happening. We've been seeing significant, big and major events coming back to Jos. It's a clear indication that people are beginning to see that Jos is back and out of that narrative. The number of visitation for us, we will know because we're in that space, so we know the number of people that are coming that people don't even know, that people that come to this town and leave, and a lot of people don't know, right? We have prominent people. Just last year, or is it this year? I think last year, our governor hosted about 10 northern governors in this state.
Yes, I think it was this year.
This year, right? So you can imagine if a state can host 10 governors in one state, and you want to say the state is not peaceful, of course not.
Yeah.
Last year, the Ministry of Women Affairs held an event. We have international and national events that are beginning to come to Jos.
Yes.
Right? So that's a great indication for them to begin to redirect their focus to this place. They feel a level of safety that the city is having. So I feel Jos has to regain its glory as the home of peace and tourism, but it takes more effort beyond just talking about it. We need to retell the story to take people from that journey of who we were and then to what we have experienced, which is a fact, and then how we are resiliently pulling out. So I feel like, for me, I will say, if I should propose to Plateau State, one of the things I would want Plateau State to do is to have a memorial center in Plateau State. And that memorial center should talk about the resilience of the Plateau people from who we were to the incidents that we can document that 2001 crisis.
It reminds me of Rwanda.
So we can document that 2001 crisis and what it has done to us as a people and how we are going out of it.
Emerging out of that.
If you are coming to Plateau State and you go to that, you will have a very clear understanding of who we are. So we're not allowing the media to define the narrative. We have a place where you can come and experience that. So we are giving you the narrative that you should know, which is the authentic and the true narrative of what Plateau State is. So I believe that we can approach this story from the place of resilience. And I tell you, Plateau State has if other states face what Plateau State has faced, I don't think in 20 years they'll be standing. But I tell you, even though some of us feel like we can do more, but if you look critically, you can see that the Plateau State has stood, and the Plateau people have been resilient to still show up. We still have amazing young people doing amazing things, even with the narrative that has been dwindling and shrinking our capacity. I'll tell you, it has affected us, even in business growth. It has affected the kind of opportunities that come to us. But we still see excellent creatives coming out of Jos and doing big things on national and global stages. For me, I feel that is a true testament of resilience. There are certain places that if they face this, I don't think you will hear anybody from there. But we still find young people doing amazing things from Jos in the film industry, in the creative industry, in the movie industry, in sports, in almost every sector, even still within that period of, the difficulty that we've gone through. So I would say that Plateau people are resilient people, and we just need to keep our head high and then also prioritize good leadership to keep us afloat so that we don't go back to where we are.
Good leadership on every level, from local government,
state level, and to the state level. Even people that represent us nationally. I feel like one of the things that Plateau State can do for themselves is in the quality of people we put in leadership. Because that's the only thing that can help us to come out strong. Right? But when we have people that we're voting people on the lines of sentiment, then we will still be stuck and held bound using that political narrative that is dividing us to continue dividing us. So our political position and decision as a state is important to how far we can go as a people.
Very true. Very true. You talked about the narratives, the negative narrative around Jos that has been in existence for a while. And, one of the reasons why I started the Jos Start podcast, actually, I've not even said this so far. So the Jos Start actually was initially, I was thinking to make it like JOS and then T.
Jos Start.
Just like Jos Start. Right. But then I decided to leave it more open because of course we would evolve and get into bigger spaces and all of that beyond just the city of Jos. Right. But I thought that it was critical to begin to highlight stories from here. That challenge the negative narrative because Jos is coming out of those days. And even though the things that happened, the crisis and all of that happened and are a part of the history, and the story, it should not be allowed to define the future of the state.
Very well.
It should not be allowed to define the lives of people who were born 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or even in the year that the crisis happened. I know people who lost certain business opportunities because when the other person on the phone says, "Oh, so where in Nigeria are you?" Say, "I'm in Jos." They say, "No," and that's the end. Do you understand? So it now feels as though the narrative the negative narrative has even robbed the state and the people far more than the real crisis itself.
Very true. Very true.
Right?
Very
so
true.
This is one of the reasons why, of course, starting Just That podcast, running Discover Jos, everything I've been doing right around the city of Jos has been targeted at showcasing that things are not what it used to be.
Very well.
The fact that, for example, I did a post the other day. Somebody said, and I talked about Jos being home of peace and tourism. A person said, "What kind of nonsense home of peace and tourism?" And I was going to respond to them, but I'm also very picky about how I respond on social media because I was going to say the fact that, for example, your name, let's say your parents named you Good Boy in your language, and the meaning of your name is Good Boy. The fact that one day you went and stole meat does not change your name.
Very well.
Do you understand?
Very well.
The day you realize the meaning of your name, you begin to live it.
Yes.
So the fact that there were things that challenged peace and tourism in the state does not change the name of the identity.
Yes, it remains the home of peace.
It remains it's just that we must now wake up to owning that identity and taking it as our brand.
Very well.
And building the future with it.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said.
So really important things. But I want to, as we wrap this up, I want you to give me what is one of the worst stories that you've had in terms of worst experiences that you've had in terms of tour guiding. and planning a trip? Like something that you felt like, maybe I should reconsider what I'm doing with my life. Something that was so bad.
Okay. What is that word experience? I'll probably just give an example from one of my first experiences starting out and how I navigated it, how I struggled, But 'cause I don't know right now of any story that made me reconsider not doing it. But I'll just share a very difficult or challenging time in delivering that. So I think I had a group that I took to Yankari, I think in my second year. And when we went to Yankari, I did remember budgeting, logistics, very important. So I did my budgeting. I felt like I did everything right? And then I went to Yankari. I made a big mistake. And one of the first mistake I made was I forgot that, or I did not put attention that Yankari has a terrible network, right? So, and then I was supposed to, in my head, I was going to use my card to make payments for all of the services that we needed. So instead of me to withdraw cash, right? I felt like I can use my card, but we have POS, cash, I can pay with my card. And I didn't go with any cash. And when I got to Yankari, and they told me that their POS is not working, no, I have to give them cash. And I just came with a group of like 15 people, and they're like waiting in the bus. Let's go and check it to our rooms. And I wanted to pay, and they said I cannot pay. And if you know Yankari very well, from the second gate to the first gate is about 40 minutes or 1 hour. Yes, it's about 40 minutes to 1 hour, 1 hour drive from the first gate to the second gate. And then from the second gate to the town where you can see people is also about 40 minutes. So we're talking about 2 hours to go out of that terrain. And if you know Yankari very well, you will not find anything else to buy or any on that road. Right? It's a lonely road. It's a lonely drive. So the first thing I thought, they now told me that I should just go to town and remove money and come. That's you telling me to use 2 hours going, 2 hours coming
back.
4
and
hours.
Your tourists
and
are
my
in
tourists are in the bus. I said, how do you want me to do that? Okay, can you do me a favor? Check them in while I go to look for the money. They said they can't do that. I have to pay them the money before they can check them in. That was, my head was sparking already. How would I tell these people that they should sit in the bus and wait for me for 4 hours?
4 hours.
First of all, that in itself means that I do not even know what I'm doing. So you look incompetent in their eyes. That's the first thing. You look very incompetent. That why? It's not that I didn't have the money. It's in my account, but just to pay. Was a problem. I said I should transfer. They said no. They don't have anybody that will see their lad.
Jesus is Lord.
That I should just go and remove cash. The manager was not around. I said I wanted to see the manager. He said the manager is not around, and he went to town. He went to Bauchi that he might come back tomorrow morning. I said I'm dead. I had no choice than to go and meet the people and tell them that, please, I have a serious challenge. We need cash. We need to pay with cash. And nobody can have that amount of cash. For us to pay for accommodations for about 7 or 8 rooms. And I said, I need to go to town, and it will take me about 4 hours to be back. Everybody started shouting. Everybody started complaining. And in that trip, I've already factored in the cost of their meal in it. So we're supposed to check in, then go have dinner. So now it means that I had to beg them to go to the restaurant and pay with their money if they have cash and to eat something. Then when I come back, I'll pay them back or refund them back. But that was not even supposed to happen because it has already, so on the start, that's already dwindled the excitement of the trip.
God.
Right? So I was really sad, but that was the best thing I could do. So they eventually agreed. Some were murmuring, some were complaining, some were like, I can't even just... Somebody was even saying he would just go back to Bauchi and sleep in Bauchi. The next day he would go back to Abuja. He cannot stay on this rubbish trip and all of that. So you could imagine people were already disappointed. On the first day, we've not even started anything. So how do you get them to that excitement level to continue with the experience? Right? But my goal was to solve that problem. So they went, so I pleaded with one of the guys that I felt was very reasonable to help me keep them together and then ensure that everybody gets what they need. Whatever it is, I will come and sort it. And he offered to do that for me. I met him on the trip. He was also a traveler, but he felt more reasonable. So I talked with him And then he offered to do that. And then I went. And when I got the cash, I got almost every cash that I did. And then I came back to Yankari. And then when I came back and I paid, I was very sad. I almost cried because I told him, I said, we struggle to bring people to you, but you are frustrating the efforts that we are making. And I don't think I will ever want to bring anybody to Yankari again because of this experience. And I don't know if these people will ever recommend me or want to come back again. But whatever it is, I will take it as my loss. But I'm telling you, don't think I will ever want to bring anybody to Yankari. And they didn't care, right? And then they collected their money. We went and checked in. I gave everybody the room because everybody was already tired. I just told everybody to sleep. And then next morning we'll start. So everybody just went and slept that day. The activity we had for that day, we couldn't even do it because nobody was motivated. But I did something. I was just thinking, how can I make up for this? How can I make up for this? That's all I was thinking. So I had to start on a good note in the morning. And then I woke up very early. And then I was told that the manager came. So I went and met the manager and I explained everything to him. And he was like, he does not know. If I had called him, probably he would have made arrangement. I said, it has happened, no. But me, I was not happy with the way they handled the situation. Because we're already here, we're not running, right? So we have like 2 other days to still stay. We'll still pay you before we leave. And he pleaded with me and we exchanged contacts. And he told us anything I need throughout my stay to ensure that I'm comfortable. I should let him know. And then we did that. We exchanged that contact. And then next morning, I started out with so much adrenaline. I remember what happened last night too, but I woke up like nothing has happened. And I woke up with a new vibe. Everybody was looking at me, okay, this is, what is happening today? And then I woke up with a new vibe and I read out the itinerary for the day. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. And then we started off the days. People were reluctant. People were, let's just see how today goes. And then the trip started picking up. People started laughing. People started making some chats. We played some games on the van. We went for safari. We were already having fun. And before lunchtime, everybody was in excitement.
Great.
And the trip was back. And, so for me, right, I also wanted to finish well. And then we finished from Yankari. In our plan, we were not supposed to stay an extra night or do anything in Bauchi. We were supposed to just drive to Jos. So I've already thought of what to do. So there's a place in Bauchi that I knew in one hotel, the big grilled fish. So where we were, when we were done with Yankari, we were leaving, everybody was excited. By the way, when I went to pay the money, the last accommodation, the manager told me that I should pay 60% for the other 2 nights. So he refunded me some part of the money. So when he refunded me, I didn't tell them. I said that money that he refunded me, I will spend it on these people.
Wow.
So when we got to Bauchi, I told them, I said, we're going to make a major stop in Bauchi and I want to sponsor your kilishi and masa on me. And we're not finishing there. We are going to stay and have grilled fish before we. Everyone was like, what is all this? I said, no. We have to make up for our wrongs, But at the end of the day, when I did that, everybody felt like, oh, this guy really wanted to make up. And I tell you, those same people that were on that trip came again and again for other trips.
Fantastic.
And the relationship I had with the manager of Yankari, from that time, we became the first stock company that partnered with Yankari that I know of, that we always get 30% discount for every time we come to Yankari, till when that manager was changed. So every service we offer, from safari to hotel to whatever, food, everything, we get 30% discount because of that relationship, right? So, and so for me, I just feel like, regardless of what difficulty, always think to make up. And the trip does not end when something goes wrong. The team can actually take a new turn, and then you can use that to create a new level of excitement. And sometimes, even if it's going to cost you to lose money, to regain that trust from people, please lose money. I've lost money just because I want people to go back with a good experience. I spend over my budget on trips that I feel like, no, I want them to get more value for it, right? And then that way, I kept getting repeat customers, and people kept referring us and all of that. So for me, I just feel I can sacrifice anything for the quality of my guest experience. And I feel that is one thing that has helped Explore Nigeria to stand and to keep having that, that trust from people, because we will go the extra and beyond to ensure that your guest experience is is on point.
Fantastic. I mean, we could go on and on, but we have to bring this to a close right now. Finally, what would be in Plateau State, what would be your top 5 destinations?
Oh, okay. Number one, my number one destination is Refuge Resort.
Oh, really?
I really love Refuge Resort, and I love the story behind Refuge Resort. And I feel there's so much more that can be done with Refuge Resort. And I'm a water person. I love water. Sometimes I can just leave my house and go to Refuge Resort and just go and sit close to the water and just see the water. I like the fact the water is blue, and then I like the fact that it has a rich story in the mining history and economic history of Plateau State, because that was a mining site. So that in itself is a story that people don't often get to hear, but it just comes, they see a body of water and then they just come and jet ski and boat ride and that's it. So for me, I kind of connect with Refuge Resort so much, and I feel like it's one destination that can reflect the true identity of what Plateau State is as the teen city, and you can use that place to create a lot of things that can project that image and that story in a way that people will be so attracted to it. So I like Refuge Resort. I say I like water so much, right? I like Asop Falls. But I feel like, of course, all our places, there's so much that can be done. I love Sherry Hills. Sherry Hills too. Sherry Hills has some of the most beautiful rock formations that you will find anywhere in Nigeria. And then I love Miango Rest Home. I love Miango Rest Home. Any day, anytime. When you go to Miango Rest Home, you're looking for calmness and solace, just go to Miango Rest Home. After 2 days, you'll be refreshed.
You'll be refreshed. Your stomach will be full.
Oh yeah, you'll be refreshed. And then, what other destination or tourism attraction do I like? Maybe I'll give it to Wildlife Park.
Okay.
Because I also think a lot can be done with Wildlife Park. So I think those are like my 5 go-to places. I feel a lot can be done. Wildlife Park, if we have more animals, the experience will be better. If we can create more picnic, camping sites, a lot of other things that you can experience within the park. It has the landmass that you can accommodate that. So I feel a lot can be done. And if that is being put in place, Wildlife Park will be one favorite place everybody will want to go. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Freezle. It was so exciting listening to you. I really enjoyed the conversation about the problem.
Oh, yes.
That major challenge that you had and how you were able to fix it up. I just think it shows the intentionality and the heart behind what you do. And well done. Thank you so much. I think that Northern Nigeria generally, and specifically Plateau State, has experienced a lot of important visitors because of some of the work that you and every other person within that tourism ecosystem is doing. So
pleasure.
Well done so much. There was something that you said about the Refuge Resorts, and if you know whoever owns Refuge Resorts, I mean, I think that there's so much that can be done. In fact, left to me, amongst the many things that can be done there, I think that the Tin Mining Exhibition Museum that is at the current museum location should be moved to Refuge Resorts.
Yes,
because I've seen the video of when Prince Philip came to inspect the mining operations here in Refuge. This was probably in the 60s or so, or in the 50s thereabouts, right? When him and the Queen came to Jos. Right. So there's a lot of rich history around the mining, the story of mining on the plateau in Refuge Resort. And hey, amongst the many things, have nice Lakeview hotels or restaurants, all of those, make the place nice, have a water park session, all of those things. But I think that there should actually be a tin mining exhibition.
Yes.
At the Refuge Resort.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's free. We've given you free consultation now. I'll send my account details.
Oh, yes. You deserve it.
Yes. All right. That brings us to the end of today's session.
Yes.
With Freezle.
Thank you so much.
Freezle of Explore Niger. And it's exciting that we were able to get this conversation rolling. Thank you so much for for watching this. Thank you so much for listening in. If you have comments, contributions, questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. I'm excited. I will be reading through them. I'll be excited to read through and respond. And let's just build a community about this, because just like Freezle and his story, you'd see that he had a big dream. He had an idea around this thing, and he didn't just keep pushing it and procrastinating. Yep. He started, right? You might be thinking, oh, you're interested in the tourism industry, or even something completely different, right? But take a cue from some of the things he has shared, his struggles, the pain of Sapa at the very beginning, and the joys of now being able to do a lot more and live the life live a life that he's excited about, right? So just start. Don't overthink it. Put the pedal to the metal. Yep. Right? Yeah, put the pedal to the metal. That's the right term. You know, and then just go at it. You never know what is ahead until you try.
Oh yes.
So just start.
Oh, yes.
I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. Take care.